Genevieve. It's great to see you today. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Molly. How are you?
I'm also well. I'm really excited to talk with you today because we have quite an interesting subject, and this is about the Queen's recent passing and the royal family and what we can learn about the dynamics with the royal family when dealing with grief in our own lives. I know that you're a little closer to the subject because you're living in England.
And I was actually at Westminster on Monday.
Oh,
So
wow, you're very close to the subject.
so yeah, I was up there the day of the funeral, not for while all the things were going on, but I went up, paid my respects sort of later on in the day when it wasn't so chaotic.
That's very nice of you. What is the city like right now? Is there like a tone of mourning, or are things normal?
There's quite an upbeat energy in a very respectful way. It's really interesting. Everyone's talking about the positive impact the Queen has had and welcoming, obviously, a king for the first time in many years. We have a king, and I think there's a lot of reflection on what the Queen actually meant to the country, and even people who aren't royalists are all finding comfort in the royal family and very respectful of what they're going through and how they're conducting themselves. And I think the whole funeral and the way England said goodbye to the Queen was just spectacular, and it's not anything we'll ever see in our lifetimes again. It really was the most incredible ceremony and processions and a coming together of communities of people, all to pay respect. More than anything, it was a very respectful time here, and I think that was really the mood. It was very respectful. It was very calm, but it was in an upbeat way, not in an outpouring of huge sadness and emotion.
Yeah. Yeah, this is obviously a devastating time for the family, but it appears that they're displaying some signs of strength. And when discussing like relationship dynamics, I feel like that gives us a lot to learn from. When we go through similar situations, is it important to appear strong, or is it okay to, show our sad side a little bit?
I think what was lovely is we had a huge mix of emotions that we saw, and the one thing that I commented on to some friends who were with me is the authenticity from the royal family. We saw when some of the younger princesses were visiting the flowers that were laid out, we saw outpouring of emotions and arms going around them, and a lot of support for those young royals. And I think that is something we've not seen before. We've not seen such raw emotion, and that was really heartwarming to see. And you could see it with King Charles, with his siblings, and with William and Harry and Kate and Meghan. We could see those the emotions that they were going through. They didn't hide them. Yes, of course, there was the resilience. They were on display. They're royalty, so therefore as royalty you're expected to behave in a certain way. But I think we also saw, probably for the first time in a long time, from a royal family, a family that was more united than it's been in many years, through grief and through sadness. The whole generation's gone now. That generation of Prince Philip and the Queen has gone, and that's a whole different layer of emotion that we're seeing now that we've never seen before. And I think that's what's so heartwarming for everybody is that display of authenticity.
Right. And it's so relatable because, at one point or another, we're all going to go through some hardships.
Sadly, yes. Sadly,
Yes.
we all do. You can't go through life without the highs and lows of emotions that
Right.
that life throws at us.
Yeah, we all face grief and sadness. But one thing that makes those moments at least easier is to have a supportive partner to help you get through it. I feel like we saw a good example with that, with the couples in the royal family.
Definitely.
But for us, when dating, what qualities should we look for that would make a helpful and supportive partner throughout these tough times?
Or someone who displays empathy. Empathy is really important. Someone that can empathize and displays emotion and isn't frightened to show emotion as well, and doesn't want you to hide your emotion. If you feel that you have to hide your emotion from your partner, then it's you're not in the right relationship. You should always be able to be authentic about your feelings and what you're going through. And if you can't be, then, or if you're finding that you're hiding them or changing the subject about stuff, or feeling that you can't be real in any way with somebody, that's not the right healthy relationship, because what will then happen is you'll resent that person because you can't be real with them.
Yeah, it's so true. One last question, and this has to do more with dating and relationships, but if we are going through a grieving process, is it wise to go about dating, or should we take that time for ourselves?
And now that's always a really interesting question, because it depends really on the level of grief you're going through and how you're projecting that grief and what support perhaps you might need. Some people need counseling or therapy around grief if it's something that's been very traumatic and a traumatic experience, whereas other people feel that they need the comfort of a partner and being with someone and the distraction of doing something for them in that process. So each situation is very unique. You've got to look at, are you going to be able to project your true self when you're dating? Because at the end of the day, we attract what we give off. So if you're in a heightened state of anxiety, sadness, maybe even slight depression because of the grieving process that you're going through, then I would say definitely don't date if you're in that state of mind. But if you're in a positive, uplifting way of, you're in that mindset that you're ready. Some people through grief think, wow, life's too short, I need to get on with it. I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get out there, I want to date, I want to embrace the journey, because we don't know what's around the corner. So it really does depend on where you're at, and if you're going to present the best version of yourself and the most authentic version of yourself in that dating process. Because if not, there's no point putting yourself out there. It's not going to be fair on the person you're dating, and it's certainly not going to be fair on you.
Yeah,
I hope that's answered your question.
definitely. Yes, that and more. Yeah, it's great advice. Very wise words, Genevieve. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Obviously, we send our love to the royal family, but we're very grateful that we can, learn from their example as well. So
Absolutely.
thank you, Genevieve.
Absolutely. Thank you, Molly.
Until next time.